Chapter 5 Business Level Strategy Creating and Sustaining Competitive Advantages. The learning objective of the chapters are the central role of competitive advantage in the study of strategic management and the three generic strategies. How the successful attainment of generic strategies can be improved, can improve the firm's relative power vis-a-vis the five forces that determine an industry average profitability. The Fit 4 managers must avoid in striving to attain the generic strategies, and how firms can effectively combine the generic strategies of overall cost leadership and differentiation. What factors determine the sustainability of a firm competitive advantage? The importance of considering the industry life cycle to determine a firm's business level strategy and its relative emphasis on functional area strategies and value creating activities. And finally, the need for turnaround strategies that enable a firm to position its competitive position in an industry. The central role of competitive advantage. In order to create and sustain competitive advantage, companies need to stay focused on their customers' evolving wants and needs and not sacrifice their strategic position as they mature and the market around them evolve. So how firms compete with each other and how they attain and sustain competitive advantages go to the heart of strategic management. So in short, the key issues become why do some outperform others and enjoy such advantages over time. So this chapter will focus on this issue. Business level strategy is a strategy designed for a firm or division of the firm that competes within a single business. So generic strategy is basic type of business level strategy based on the breadth of target market, industry-wide versus narrow market segment, and types of competitive advantage. For example, low cost versus uniqueness. Michael Porter's presented three generic strategies that firm can use to overcome the five forces and attain the competitive advantage. The first one is overall cost leadership, which is based on creating a low cost position relative to one peers. So the second one is differentiation, which require that the firm or business unit create product or services that are unique and valued. And third, firm following a focus strategy must direct their attention or focus towards narrow product line, buyer groups or geographical market. A firm emphasizing a focus strategy must attain advantages either through differentiation or cost leadership approach. Exhibit 5.1 is the three generic strategies. So the overall cost leadership and differentiation strategies strive to attain advantages industry-wide, while focuses have a narrow target market in mind. So generic strategy are plotted on two dimensions. One is competitive advantage and the second one is market serve. The three generic strategies. What is overall cost leadership? It is a firm generic strategies based on appeal to the industry-wide market using a competitive advantage based on low cost. When it comes to differentiation, it is a firm's generic strategy based on creating differences in the firm's product or service offering by creating something that is perceived industry-wide as unique and valued by the customers. And focus strategy is a firm generic strategy based on appeal to a narrow market segment within an industry. Exhibit 5.2 show you the relationship between competitive advantage and the business performance. So both casual observation and research support the notion that firms that identify with one or more of the forms of competitive advantage outperform those that do not. So according to the above study, businesses combining multiple forms of competitive advantage, which differentiation and overall cost leadership, outperform businesses that use only a single form. So the lowest performers were those that did not identify with any type of advantage. So we classified them as stuck in the middle. Overall low cost leadership. Overall cost leadership is a firm generic strategy based on appeal to the industry-wide market using a competitive advantage based on low cost. So cost leadership requires a tight set of interrelated tactics, including close scrutiny of the value chain. Overall cost leadership involves the aggressive construction of efficient scale facilities, vigorous pursuit of cost reduction from experience, tight cost and overall control, and overhead control, avoidance of marginal customer accounts, cost minimization in all activities in the firm value chain such as R&D, service, sales force, and advertising. Overall cost leadership require a learning to lower cost through experience, which we call the experience curve. Experience curve is the decline in unit cost of production as cumulative output increases. So a business can learn to lower costs as it gains experience with production processes. So among the most common factors producing the experience curve, workers getting better at what they do, product design being simplified as the product matures, and production processes being automated and streamlined. However, experience curve gains will only be the foundation for a cost advantage if the firm knows the source of the cost reduction and can keep those gains proprietary. The competitive parity is a firm's achievement of similarity or being on par with competitors with respect to low cost, depreciation, or other strategic product characteristic. So competitive parity on the basis of depreciation permits or allows the cost leader to translate cost advantages directly into higher profit than competitors. Thus, the cost leader earns above average returns. Business that strive for a low cost advantage must attain an absolute cost advantage relative to its rival. This is typically accomplished by offering a no-frill product or service to a broad target market using standardization to derive to the greatest benefit from economies of scale and experience. However, this strategy may fail if the firm is unable to attain parity on important dimensions of differentiation, such as quick response to customer requests for services or design changes. Improving competitive position vis-a-vis the five forces cost leadership. An overall low cost position enables the firm to achieve above average return despite strong competition. So it protects firm against rivalry from competitors because lower costs allow a firm to earn return even if its competitors eroded their profit through intense rivalry. Buyers can exert power to drive down the prices only to the level of the next most efficient producer because there are relatively few competitors that can provide a comparable cost or value proposition. Because the cost advantage can be applied across all operations, so a low cost position puts the firm in a favorable position with respect to substitute product introduced by new and existing competitors. Pitfall of cost leadership. So managers should explore all value chain activities, including relationship among them. So as candidate for cost reduction, firms can also be vulnerable to price increases in the factors of production. A firm's strategy may consist of value creating activities that are easy to imitate. Firms striving to attain cost leadership advantages must obtain a level of parity on depreciation. So building a low cost advantage often requires significant investment in plant and equipment, distribution system, and large economically scale operation. As a result, firms often find that this investment limit their flexibility. They have difficulty responding to changes in the environment. So the foundation of the firm's cost advantage may become obsolete. In these circumstances, other firms develop new ways of cutting costs, so leaving the old cost leaders at a significant disadvantage. We may look at the case of General Motors or Ford companies as an example to this cost leadership strategy. Differentiation strategy is a firm's generic strategy based on creating differences in the firm's product or service, offering by creating something that is perceived industry-wide as a unique and valued by customers. So firms may differentiate themselves in both primary and support activities. You may refer to Exhibit 5.4, and firms achieve and sustain depreciation advantages and attain above average performance when their price premium exceed the extra cost incurred in being unique. So you can look at the depreciation strategy that can be used is the prestige or the brand image, and we can look also at the quality, technology, innovation, features, customer service, and the dealer network. Firms achieve and sustain differentiation advantages and attain above average performance when their price premium exceed the extra costs incurred in being unique. But a differentiator cannot ignore costs. So differentiator must reduce costs in all areas that do not affect differentiation. So differentiation actually requires a level of cost parity relative to competitors and the integration of multiple points along the value chain. For example, the superior material handling operation to minimize the damage, low defect rates to improve the quality, accurate and responsive order processing, personal relationship with key customers, rapid response to customer service requests, and differentiation along several different dimensions at once. Improving competitive position vis-a-vis G5 forces. Differentiation provide protection against rivalry since brand loyalty lower customer sensitivity to price and raises customer switching costs, therefore creating higher entry barriers and reducing the trade from substitutes. The resulting higher margin and lack of comparable alternative avoid the need for a low cost position. So an overall differentiation strategy actually create higher entry barrier due to customer loyalty, provide higher margin that enable the firm to deal with supplier power, reduce buyer power because buyers lack suitable alternative, and establishes customer loyalty and hence less trade from the substitutes. It is not enough just to be different, but a differentiation strategy must provide unique bundles of product and or services that customer value highly. So firms may also strive for quality or service that is higher than customers' desire. Thus, they become vulnerable to competitors who provide an appropriate level of quality at a lower price. So in addition, customers may desire the product but are repelled by the price premium. Depreciation advantages can be eroded through imitation, and firms may also erode their quality brand image by adding product or services with lower prices and less quality, thus confusing the customer. So company must also realize that although they may perceive their product and services as differentiated, their customers may view them as commodities. So, a few pitfalls of differentiation strategy we can summarize here is uniqueness that is not valuable, too much differentiation, too high a premium price differentiation that easily imitated, dilution of brand identification through product line extension, and perceptions of differentiation may vary between buyers and sellers. Focus strategy is a firm-generic strategy based on appeal to narrow market segment within an industry. So a firm following this strategy select a segment or group of segment and tailor its strategy to serve them. The essence of focus is the exploitation of a particular market niche. So a focus strategy is based on the choice of a narrow competitive scope within an industry. Focus strategy. A narrow focus by itself is not sufficient for above average performance. Firms must choose either a cost or a differentiation focus. But both variants of the focus strategy rely on providing better service than broad-based competitors who are trying to serve the focus target segment. So cost focus exploit differences in cost behavior in some segment, while differentiation focus exploit the special needs of buyer in other segment. Improving competitive position vis-a-vis the five forces focus strategy. An overall focus strategy requires that a firms either have a low cost position with its strategic target, high differentiation, or maybe both. This position provide defenses against each competitive cost because of higher margin or more specialized product or services. Focus is also used to select niches that are least vulnerable to substitute or where competitors are the weakest. So, an overall focus strategy create higher entry barrier due to cost leadership or differentiation of both. So, they can provide higher margin that enable the firms to deal with supplier power. And they can reduce the buyer power because the firm provides specialized product or services. Pitfall of focus. The advantages of a cost-focused strategy may be fleeting if the cost advantages are eroded over time. Some firms adopting a focus strategy may enjoy temporary advantages because they select a small niche with few rivals. However, this strategy can be imitated. And finally, some firms attempting to attain advantages through a focus strategy may have too narrow a product or service. If you look at this strategy, the three pitfall, for example, is the erosion of core advantages within the narrow segment and highly focused product and service is subject to competition from new entrants and from imitation, and the focus to satisfy the buyer needs. Combination strategies, integrating the low cost and differentiation strategies. Firm integration of various strategies can provide multiple types of value to customers. So a combination low cost and differentiation strategy will enable a firm to provide two types of value to customers: differentiated abilities, for example, the high quality, the brand identification and the reputation, and lower prices because of the firm's lower cost in value creating activity. So for example, superior quality can lead to lower cost because of less need for rework in manufacturing, fewer warranty claims, a reduced need for customer service personnel to resolve customer complaints. So a combination strategy is a firm integration of various strategies to provide multiple unit product in small quantities at low cost. The integration of low cost and in differentiation strategy makes it difficult for competitors to duplicate or imitate the strategies, and the goal of combination strategy is actually to provide unique value in an efficient manner. The combination strategies. The primary benefit to firms that integrate low cost and depreciation strategy is the difficulty for rivals to duplicate or imitate. And this strategy basically can enable a firm to provide two types of value to customers. One is differentiated attributes, for example, the high quality brand identification and reputation. And another one is the lower prices. Since the firm having lower cost in value creating activities, therefore the firms can reduce down their prices. The goal is thus to provide unique value to customers in an efficient manner. So some firms are able to attain both type of advantages simultaneously. For example, the superior quality can lead to lower cost because of less need for rework in manufacturing. The benefit of combining advantages can be additive instead of merely involving trade-off. So we can consider a few approach to combining overall low cost and depreciation. One is the automated flexible manufacturing system, which allow for mass customization. So mass customization is actually a firm's ability to manufacture unique product in small quantity at a low cost. This is facilitated by advances in manufacturing technologies such as CAD or CEM. So for example, Windows is given as an example. Analysis of data on customer characteristics, purchasing pattern, employee productivity, and physical asset utilization will allow firms to better serve customer while more efficiently using company resources. And this what we call the exploitation of the profit pool concept create a competitive advantage. Profit pool actually is the total profit in an industry at all points along the industry value chain, and the structure of the profit pool can be complex. The potential pool of profit will be deeper in some segment of the value chain than others, and the depth will vary within an individual segment. Segment profitability may vary widely by customer group, product category, geographic market, or distribution channel. And if you look at the pattern of profit concentration in an industry is often very different from the pattern of revenue generation. Many firms have also achieved success by integrating activities throughout the extended value chain by using information technology to link their own value chain with the value chains of their customers and suppliers. Improving competitive position vis-a-vis the five forces, which is the combination or integrated between overall low cost and depreciation strategy. Okay, firms that successfully integrate both depreciation and cost advantages will create an enviable position. For example, we can look at this what we call Walmart integration. If you're familiar with Walmart, so maybe you can search the case of Walmart. All right, this dominant competitive position serve to erect high entry barriers to potential competitors that have neither the financial nor physical resources to compete head to head. So the organization's larger size can provide enormous bargaining power over supplier. So low pricing and wide selection can reduce the power of buyer because there are relatively few competitors that can provide comparable cost or value proposition. So this overall value proposition would make a potential substitute product a less viable trade. So maybe you can just Google the Walmart case for you to look at the situation of this combination strategy. Now we maybe can look a little bit on the pitfalls of combination strategies, which one is firms that fail to attain both overall low cost and depreciation strategies may end up with neither and become stuck in the middle. Okay, so the main point in strategic management is the creation of competitive advantages that enable a firms to enjoy above average returns. Sometimes some firms may become stuck in the middle if they try to attain both cost and depreciation advantages. As we mentioned earlier at the beginning of this chapter. Okay, so supermarket change, for example, will find themselves stuck in the middle as their cost structure is higher than discount retailers offering groceries, and their product and services are not seen by consumers, okay, as being as valuable as those of high-end grocery chain. For example, if we can see that the Whole Food company. Whole Food is one of the US company that provide these high-end grocery. And the second point is firms can also underestimate the challenges and expenses associated with coordinating value creating activities in the extended value chain. So integrating activity actually across a firm's value chain with the value chain of suppliers and customers, which involve a significant investment in financial as well as the human resources. So firms must consider the expenses linked to technology investment, managerial time and commitment, and the involvement and investment required by the firm, customers and supplier. So the firm must be confident that it can generate a sufficient scale of operations and revenue to justify all associated expenses. And the third pitfall is firm can also miscalculate sources of revenue and profit pool in the firm. Profit pool is in the firm's industry. So firms may fail to accurately assess sources of revenue and profit in their value chain. This can occur for example, manager may be biased due to his or her functional area background, work experience, and educational background. If the manager's background is in engineering, maybe he or she might perceive that proportionately greater revenue and margin were being created in manufacturing, product and process design than the person whose background is in a downstream value chain activities such as marketing and sale. So, or politics could make managers fudge the numbers to favor their areas of operation. These will make them responsible for a greater proportion of the firm's profit, thus improving their bargaining position. Industry life cycle stages. This is quite important in this chapter. So the industry life cycle actually refers to the stages of introduction, growth, maturity, and decline that occur over the life of an industry. So when you consider the industry life cycle, it is useful if you can think that the what we call looking at the broad product lines such as personal computers, photocopiers, and long distance telephone service. And the concept of industry life cycle can be explored from several levels, from the life cycle of entire industry to the life cycle of a single or specific product or services. Why do you think that this industry life cycle is important? So it is actually emphasized on various generic strategies, functional areas, value creating activities, and overall objective varies over the course of an industry life cycle. Managers must become even more aware of their firm's strengths and weaknesses in many aspects to attain the competitive advantages. For example, firms depend on their research and development activities in the introduction stage. All right, and R&D is actually source of new product and features that everyone hopes will appeal to customers. So firm develop product and services to stimulate consumer demand. In the later stage, during the maturity phase, the function of the product have been defined. So more competitors have entered the market and competition is intense here. All right, so manager then will place a greater emphasis on production efficiency and process engineering in order to lower manufacturing costs. And this will help to protect the firm's market position and to extend the product life cycle because the firm's lower cost can be passed on to consumers in the form of lower prices. And the price sensitive customers will find the product more appealing. Exhibit 5.6 illustrate the four stages of the industry life cycles and how factors such as generic strategies, market growth rates, intensity of competition, and overall objective change over time. Managers must strive to emphasize the key functional area during each of the four stages and to attain a level of parity in all functional areas and value creating activities. For example, in controlling production costs may be a primary concern during the maturity stage. Managers should not totally ignore other functions such as marketing and R&D. So if the managers do that, they can become so focused on lowering costs that they uh, might miss the market trend or fail to incorporate important product or product process design. And the firms may attain low cost product that have limited market appeal. It is important here to point out a caveat. While the life cycle ideas is analogous to a living organization, then the comparison has limitation. Okay, for example, product and services will go through many cycles of innovation and renewal. Only a fat product have a single life cycle. And the maturity stages of an industry can be transformed or followed by a stage of rapid growth if consumer tastes change. The technological innovation take place or the new development of product occur. For example, we can take this cereal industry. So when medical research announced the oat consumption will help to reduce a person cholesterol, sales of the quicker oat increase tremendously. And I would like to remind you, Exhibit 5.6 is important in this chapter, okay, where it explains the stages of the industry life cycle. You need to know about it because during final exam, sometimes the question asks you about the stages of the industry life cycle. The application question, for example, will ask you to identify the firm it is in which stages of the industry life cycle. So let's see, we look at the exhibit 5.6. okay, the under the introduction or what we call factors that market growth rates. If we look at the introduction stage, normally the growth rate is low, but when come to grow, it will be very large. Okay, and when come to maturity, it start to low to moderate, and decline stage you will have a negative market growth rate, right? Okay. Okay, so for example, if question stated one of these, so you can identify the firms now is in which stage. Okay, and if you look at the number of segment, introduction normally only have very few segment, and grow maybe you have increased the number of segment, and when come to maturity you have many segment, and decline you go back to the few segment, right? And if you look at the intensity of competition under introduction stage, normally we have a very low intensity of competition, and it start to increase when we reach the grow stages of industry life cycles. During the maturity stage, we have very intense competition. Okay, and decline stage we start to change. All right, and the emphasis on product design at the beginning of this introduction of the product, normally we will use a very high product design. We will look at product design very seriously. We try to be different from others, try to be different from others. But when come to grow, it start to reduce. It's only high product design because people already knows about our product. And when come to maturity, it is low to moderate, and decline stage. Now we start to have a low product design. Okay, so that's why a company needs to always look at the product design, and we need to do some innovation into our product because we need to remain in the industry, right? And the major functional areas of concern here during introduction, most of the company will focus on the research and development. And if you look at the growth stage, then this sales and marketing people or section will do their part here. And when come to maturity, the major functional areas here is production, because we already received so many orders maybe, so therefore during maturity we need to focus on our production. All right, and when come to decline stage, the general management and finance need to be taken into consideration, and the function of them is one of the areas of concern. And okay, then if we look at the overall objective, the introduction section will increase the market awareness, and under growth stage, the objective of this stage is to create consumer demand. And when come to maturity, the objective depends market share and extend the product life cycle. And if we face the decline stage, then we need to consolidate, maintain, harvest, or exit from the industry. Let us look at the strategies in the introduction stage. In the introduction stage, products are unfamiliar to consumers. Okay, the market segments are not well defined, and product features are not clearly specified. So the early development of an industry typically involves low sales growth, rapid technological change, operating losses, and the need for strong sources of cash to finance the operations. And since there are few players and not much growth, competition tends to be limited. So in order for the firms to success, it requires a focus on research and development and a marketing activity to enhance the awareness about their product. So the challenge become one of developing the product and finding a way to get users to try it and generating enough exposures so that the product emerge as the standard by which all other rivals product are evaluated. There is an advantage to being the first mover in the market. For example, if you look at the Coca-Cola, it led to success when it becomes the first soft drink company to build a recognizable global brand. However, They can also be a benefit to being a late mover, right? So maybe they can learn from the first mover's mistake. Okay, so that's why some of the company would like to be the second mover or late movers in the industry. Strategies in growth stage. The growth stage is characterized by strong increase in sales. Okay, such potential attract other rivals. In the growth stage, the primary to key success is to build consumer preferences for specific brand. And if you want to do this, it needs a strong brand recognition, a differentiated product, and the financial resources to support a variety of value chain activities such as marketing, sales, and R&D, where the marketing and sales initiative were mainly directed at spurring the aggregate demand, and demand for all such product in the introduction stage. It is an effort in the growth stage are directed towards stimulating selective demand in which firm product offering are chosen instead of a rival. Revenues will increase at an accelerating rate because new consumers are trying the product, and a growing proportionate of satisfied consumers are making repeat purchases. So in general, as a product move through its life cycle, the proportion of repeat buyer to new purchases increases. Strategies in the maturity stage. In the maturity stage, the aggregate industry demand will slow down, means become softened. So as market becomes saturated, uh, there are only few new adopters at this time. So it is no longer possible to grow around the competition. So direct competition become predominance. So with few attractive prospects, marginal competitors will exceed the market. At the same time, rivalry among existing rival intensifies because of fierce price competition. At the same time, that expenses associated with attracting new buyers start to rise. So advantages based on efficient manufacturing operation and process engineering will become more important for keeping costs low as customers become more price sensitive. And it's also become more difficult for firms to differentiate their offering because users have a better or greater understanding of the product and services. Okay, firms can use two positioning strategies that managers can use, okay, to affect the consumer mental shift. One is a reverse positioning, and another one is breakaway positioning. So what is actually reverse positioning is this strategy assumes that although consumers or customers may desire more than the baseline product, they don't necessarily want an endless list of features. So with reverse positioning, company make the creative decision to step off the augmentation treadmill and shed product attributes that the rest of the industry consider second. And if you use this breakaway positioning, um, what we can see here is product escape its category by deliberately associating with a different one. So manager leverage the new category convention to change both how product are consumed and with whom they compete. So instead of seeing the breakaway product as simply an alternative to others in its category, which is consumer perceive it as altogether would be different. So when this breakaway product is successful in leaving its category and joining a new one, and it is able to redefine its competition. The decline stage is when the industry sales and profit begin to fall. So changes in the business environment are at the root of an industry or product group entering this stage. And changes in consumer tastes or a technological innovation can push a product into decline. We can look at the somewhere around 1980s where we use compact disc. Uh, uh, and now we have changed to different digital devices. All right. So during the what we call declining stage, what we can use in order to survive in the industry, firms must try to maintain the product position or harvest the profit and reduce the cost, or if not, then exit the market, right? Then we look at the turnaround strategies. Turnaround strategy involve reversing declining performance and reinvigorating growth towards profitability. So a need for turnaround may occur at any stage in the life cycle, but is more likely to occur during maturity or decline stage. Right. What we can do here is look at this, what we call uh, asset and cost surgery, where this is very often mature firms tend to have assets that do not produce any return. So these include real estate, buildings, and so on. So outright sales or sales and lease back free up considerable cash and improve return. So investment in new plants and equipment can be deferred. And firms in a turnaround situation try to aggressively cut administrative expenses and inventories and speed up collection of receivables. So costs also can be reduced by outsourcing production of various input for which market prices can be cheaper than in-house production costs. If we look at the selected market and product pruning, where most mature or declining firms have many product lines they are losing money or are only marginally profitable. So one strategy is to discontinue such product line or unprofitable product and focus all resources on a few core profitable areas. Okay, and this will help the company to or firm to improve its efficiency and its innovativeness as it focuses on its core brand. Okay, and this will help the firms to increase their sales. And when we discuss about the piecemeal method or piecemeal productivity improvement, there are many ways in which a firm can eliminate costs and improve productivity. Okay, even individually, these are small gains, they accumulate over a period of time to substantial gains. So improving business processes by re-engineering them, benchmarking specific activities against the industry leaders, encouraging employees input to identify excess costs, increasing capacity utilization, and improving employees productivity will lead to a significant overall gain.